this is Paul Gale from paulgalenetwork.com, and thank you for joining me today for Video Game News. It is July 30th, 2021, and these are the top stories of the day. To kick things off, we have some potentially unfortunate news, but if it's true, it will ultimately be for the best in the long run, and that's that it looks like Horizon Forbidden West is going to be delayed to 2022. It was the team's original intention to have it released on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 sometime in 2021, presumably in the second half, probably the last quarter of the year. But that date looks like it's going to slip into the first quarter of 2022. I talked about this a while back that's the rumor going around, and we're just getting more evidence that seems to be pointing that, yeah, that's going to happen. So we'll wait a little bit longer before we officially call it, because after all, Sony has yet to confirm or deny these rumors. However, if it is coming out next year, the difference between like a mid-November, mid-December type of launch setup and something like mid-March isn't all that bad. You're looking at 3 to 4 month delay, if that's enough time that the team thinks they need to make this an awesome game. Big, fully realized design. Make sure that it's working on PS4 version, PS4 Pro, PS5, the different modes. Have a couple of things to iron out with a patch or two here or there, but otherwise release a solid product, not something that's not quite ready and then have to backtrack and fix it. Hey, props to them. A delayed game eventually has the possibility of being good. If you bring it out when it's not ready, yeah, you can add updates, but really it's that first word of mouth, that first impression that means a lot. And for something this big, that's been quite a few years in the making since the last one came out in 2017, you don't want to mess with it. This has the chance at becoming a big PlayStation IP. Obviously, the series is only 2 entries deep with this one coming out, but it could grow into something bigger, and 20 years from now, you could be looking at one of Sony's heavy hitters. So take your time, do it right, and I guess that's what PlayStation has in mind. But if we get official confirmation, PGN will update you. Moving on into something that is coming out soon, we have a new trailer of No More Heroes 3 coming to Nintendo Switch next month, and I thought I would play it now and provide my live reaction to it at the same time. So let's check it out together.
I am Jess Baptiste VI, aka Fu.
Listen up, Earthling aliens. I'm about to conquer this planet.
Fu and 9 of his aliens are dispatched into formation.
What a shitty town.
All recognized by the United Assassins Association. Descend to Earth as the Galactic Superhero Ranking members. Number 9, the Space Ore Dealer, Gold Joe. Number 8, the Alien Kidnapper, Black Knight Direction. Number 7, the Memory Thief, Vanishing Point. Number 6, the Gastro Cannon, Velvet Chair Girl. Number 5, the Dark World Princess, Midori Midorikawa.
Hey, Mommy, can we break that?
Ah, the big four have gathered. I'm a goddamn superhero.
The all-out, all-star battle of space versus Earth.
Let's destroy.
Looks like things are gonna get weird today.
Here we go.
Unleash the insanity, Travis. Let it flow. The pure, primitive insanity.
That's kind of funny. Let's go.
August 27th. Yeah, that's coming up soon.
Oh.
When this was first announced for Nintendo Switch, I was really excited, and I'm glad that it's looking pretty solid. The visuals look pretty tight. Looks like it's going to have a lot of voice acting, a pretty deep story, plenty of cutscenes, a variety of gameplay. It's got that mature theme. It's going to be rated M. This is the European trailer, so it's rated PEGI 18, but that's the equivalent of the United States rated M for mature, and I'm pretty pumped. It was kind of a funny trailer. It looks like the top combatants that Travis will compete against are pretty out there and over the top, as is expected of the series. If you have not played No More Heroes 1 or 2, I recommend checking it out. They're both available on Nintendo Switch. They came out back in the day on Wii and were pretty fun games. They used motion controls well, especially when it came to charging up Travis's energy beam sword, and it's nice to see that that humor is still intact by Suda51. So I'll be checking that one out next month on Nintendo Switch. Let me know what you thought of that trailer and if you're going to check it out too. Okay, finally in video game news today, we've got some interesting news from Sony as they announced just how and when and the details about the PlayStation 5 SSD add-on. What will you have to do? And it's not the most complicating, but I have a feeling that for a lot of gamers out there, it's going to be a bit much. It's also going to be pretty expensive. I say that it's not too complicating because you could follow the directions piece by piece, and I think it's fairly straightforward of what to do. They answer the question, why add an M.2 SSD to your PS5 console? Well, you'll then be able to move games freely between the SSD and your console and to upload from there and not have to play this convoluted game of refrigerator where you have a certain portion of your library on your system at all times. If you want to play a new game, delete one, re-download another, or re-upload a disc to the system. And then if you want to play that other game and you don't have space, you have to go back and play it. So it becomes a game of refrigerator, kind of. So that's the benefit from it. And pretty straightforward. It tells you what to do. Have a well-lit room with a table with a number 1 Phillips or crosshead screwdriver, small flashlight. Goes through the steps of what to do, and you could follow along. However, for a lot of people, I think for most, folks aren't going to be necessarily all that comfortable digging into their system and finding out how expensive these hundreds of dollars of extra storage space end up costing. Yeah, the solution isn't all that cheaper either on the Xbox Series S or X, but at least Microsoft gave a simple solution. You buy this 1 terabyte memory card, you stick it in, it's formatted so you're getting like 820 gigs instead of your true 1 terabyte, but that's it. It's pricey, but it's plug and play, or in this case, it's plug and have easily access to that extra storage on your SSD. And in Sony's case, there's a little more work. Is the cost going to be a deal breaker to everyone? No. There will be some people that say, hey, I already have a $500 machine. This is the machine that I'm going to play for the next 8 years. I'm going to enjoy my third-party titles, my first-party PlayStation 5 exclusive games on this system. I already put $500 in it. I'm a tech guy. I'm a tech gal. I've got a $2,000 TV and all this kind of stuff. And, anything else I play is separate. This is my device. I'm putting all eggs in one basket, and I'm just going to blow it up. And maybe it'll become an $800 machine, but that's okay. I know how to unscrew stuff, and that's fine. But that doesn't represent the majority of people, especially as PlayStation 5's user base gets bigger and bigger. We talked a couple of days ago about how it's at 10 million now. When it gets to 50 million, if 80% of that 50 million is a casual market, that's going to be a lot of people out there that aren't a part of the ultra techy, dig down, dig deep, open up a system, follow the instructions, be willing to pay more. They just want a video game console. Some may have allegiances, And if you're going based off of last generation, there are more current PlayStation fans than Xbox fans. But it's also a very competitive generation. Like I also said in a previous video recently, it's not like the PS2 era where one system dominated and Nintendo GameCube and Xbox were in a far third and second place respectively in terms of hardware sales. It's not even quite like the Wii era where, yeah, we dominated with 101 million, but Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 wound up in that 85 million territory. So not total domination in every capacity. In mindset, for a while there, we truly was dominant. In software sales, we certainly was dominant in a lot of regards. But with that last generation of Gen 8, when you look at the 3DS, when you look at the Xbox One, when you look at the PS4, you had three really high selling platforms. And this time around with Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X, I think you're once again going to have three very high selling platforms. So the competition is high. There isn't going to be one clear dominant winner that leaves everyone in the dust. And if Microsoft starts to provide a more attractive solution, I think that they could gain some ground this time around over PS5, but we'll see. And of course, there's Steam Deck too. So Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, Valve, everyone's got to be careful. How do I feel about this and the process? I don't think it's the most consumer friendly, not the easiest. It's also not the most necessary because you truly don't need it to play games. You could just play Refrigerator, and some people would even argue, like, do you truly need all of these games at once? Are you always swapping between titles? There might be some games that you always want to have access to, but in reality, in a single day, in a single week, how many different games are you playing? Some might be playing 10 games a week, and that's why a PS5 with its limited space isn't going to work for you. But if you're the kind of gamer that's just playing one game for a long stretch of time, delete it. It'll keep your save data on there. If you ever get that desire to play it again, re-download it, delete something else. Not the most convenient, but this isn't absolutely necessary to have. Not getting an SSD to add onto your system and do all of this stuff and open it up and add a heat sink, and that's a whole other topic. If you want to check this out, you could go to PlayStation.com and read more about it. But adding a heat sink to further increase the chances of it not failing, it gets into sketchy territory, and I don't know if Sony did the best in going this route. But some would say, long run, if this is your main console and if this is your main investment route, it's okay. We'll see. I'm still personally a fan of the micro SD XC solution that Nintendo has. I think that's an easy, pretty affordable setup. It's super convenient. You could say that Nintendo should have a larger built-in hard drive on the Nintendo Switch in the first place than 32. The OLED model's getting 64, but it is a portable device and a home console in one. So you can see the physical space on a console is limited, trying to keep costs down, make profit, etc., not overheat. There's a lot that goes into it, and that goes for all of these systems. And I actually wouldn't be surprised if within a year or two, PlayStation says, well, here's the next PS5 model, whether it looks different cosmetically or not, but it's got 1.5 terabytes, 2 terabytes. Xbox does the same thing. Here's a 2 terabyte model, That'll probably come at some point. Maybe not in a year. Maybe it'll take 2 or 3, but it'll probably happen. But for launch owners, is anybody really maximizing their system storage at this point? Maybe, especially if you're like a Game Pass user, or you have a PlayStation Now account and you're downloading games constantly. You might be running out of storage space after 8 months. Maybe you're already out. But yeah, it'll be interesting. Companies got to be careful. I'd even say that going back to Wii, even though it dominated some aspects overall, there wasn't really one dominating force for the overall generation because Xbox 360 did plenty well and PlayStation 3 did plenty well. So even though Wii was the winner, you look at 101 million compared to like 87, 86, that doesn't really say totally dominated, right? That's pretty close between the three. And especially if you throw in DS with its 155 million and PSP with another 80 million. That was a really strong generation. Yeah, that was probably the strongest generation in video game history, actually. We'll see if things can top that this time around. We only have one device coming from Nintendo, so unless if the Nintendo Switch can manage to sell, 256 million, that's what Wii and DS did. PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Vita combined, that's another like 160 million. Can the PS5 do 160 on its own? Xbox 360 did 87. Can Xbox Series X and S do 86? I don't think we're going to get to quite those high of numbers, but we do have Amico to look forward to. We have Playdate that's coming out, and we've got Steam Deck, so maybe we can get to a point where a generation tops Gen 7. We'll see. Alright, that's going to do today for video game news. Not a whole lot to talk about, but we ended up going, as usual, into some further discussion regarding the industry at large. Let me know what you thought about No More Heroes 3. Did you like that trailer? I did. I had fun with it. What did you think about the potential possibility, likelihood at this point of Horizon being delayed to 2022? And what do you think of Sony's solution with the PS5 SSD and how much is needed to go in and add it, and the heatsink issues if you want to go that route, make it more reliable, better setup, extra cost, etc. Alright, thanks for watching. This is Paul Gale Network signing out. Hope you all have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you next time for more. July is coming close to an end, isn't it? Tomorrow's July 31st, and then August kicks up soon. Crazy. Okay, have a good one. Take it easy. Bye.